Good morning. I have been to the shop. I've got my butter because I ran out of butter. My beautiful Sky Bella forgot to let me know that all the butter was gone. So I've gone to the shop, grabbed some butter. And now I'm having my coffee. I can open the lid. That is nice. Right. Today, I'm going to read a little bit about Alcohol Explained and Happy Habits of the Brain. Because I had a little think to myself, and since I was a teenager, I've always tended to go on and off of alcohol. I do understand I have an issue with alcohol. I am a recovering alcoholic. But I always find that after about, say, 12 months of giving up, 18 months of giving up, 2 years of giving up, I tend to have a little relapse. And it may not even be a major relapse. It might be like, say, 4 or 5 beers or something like that. And I might behave fine, not really that bad, and not get any consequences out of it. But yet I still am confused as why I just keep going to that as a source. Do you see what I mean? As something to uplift me and make me feel better. Like, why does it have that control? So I wanted to find out. So I've been reading these books on and off. And I thought, you know what, I really need to get into them and actually stick to reading them. Excuse my hair. It's morning time. I'm going to Whitney Houston concert later. So I will. I'm going with Sky. So I will record that for you as well. But anyway, on to this. As my ADHD brain does, I flip onto something else completely irrelevant. Right. So I'll read a little bit and then I'll explain. I'll explain. I hope you get the gist of it. But there is a high correlation between alcohol and anger, violence and violent crime. There are also fairly stereotypical images of a teary drunk crying into their drink and the regretful drunk calling their ex at 3 a.m. We've all been through that. So, yeah, that's happened to me quite a lot. A lot of people assume that the reason people tend to become emotional when they drink is because alcohol removes our inhibitions so that our true selves come out when we are drunk. And we think and say things that we really feel and believe that we wouldn't have the courage or would be too shy to say or feel when we are sober. So the husband who loses his temper with his wife after he has been drinking and either says something hurtful to her or physically attacks her does so because it is what he really wants to do or say to her, but without alcohol inside him, he's too inhibited. I'm going to change that word for shy, okay? To act on these feelings, or too worried to act on these feelings. Equally, the call made to the ex at 3 a.m. is purely because the drunken party really deep down wants that person back, but is also too shy or afraid to act on that feeling without alcohol. Although this makes sense on some level, the truth is, in fact, completely the other way around. All regular drinkers have lost their temper over something, or had an argument or even a fight when they were drunk and been completely unable to explain or justify it when they remember it the following day. I understand this one. And by this, I don't mean that they don't understand why they reacted so aggressively, but they have absolutely no idea why the triggering event affected them at all. The fact of the matter is that alcohol acts to inhibit certain reactors in the brain and that themselves act to put a stop on certain emotions when they take hold. For example, say we are sober and we accidentally break something. We are annoyed, but we clear it up and move on. In this situation, anger is triggered in the brain, but is then very quickly inhibited as the occurrence that triggered our anger was a minor thing and there was nothing to be gained by losing our temper. However, when the same thing happens when we have been drinking, the loss of temper simply runs unchecked because the part of your brain which ought to check the loss of temper has been depressed by our alcohol intake. So our reasoning skills have gone out of the window. As any drinker, be the alcoholic, problem, heavy or otherwise, worth their salt will know, it needn't be anything as obvious as breaking something. It could be a throwaway comment, a look, a completely benign joke, anything that has the capacity to cause even a minor irritation, a trigger, and it can lead to a complete and disproportionate loss of temper. Right? So that is what causes it all. So although a lot of us, when we feel, right, I'll explain the chemistry behind it. So when we get stressed, when we're sober, and we get stressed and we get angry about something, cortisol levels start spiking off inside our brain. So our brain wants to protect our nervous system because these cortisols, look it up, cortisol spikes can cause damage to your cells in your body. So our natural reaction in our brain is to protect ourselves. So our brain will then look for sertraline, dopamine, anything like that that will kind of like give us that oxytocin, anything that will give us that feeling, that boost to repair what that cortisol has done quickly. Some of the negative ways of getting that is through shopping addiction, food addiction, alcohol addiction, drug addiction, sex addiction, gambling addiction, anything like that. So if you've gone so many years by using that as your source to make yourself feel better, you have built neural pathways in your brain and you will continue to keep going for that source because it's a ready-made source. It's just easy. You just something you've always known. So for me, it's been alcohol. So I feel stressed. I feel a bit annoyed. I want to escape. So I turn to alcohol. But then what happens is when I'm under the influence of alcohol, if I get triggered in any way, my reasoning skills are out the window. So I've also made my situation a whole heap worse. So it's like a vicious cycle. It's not so much, it is with food addiction as well, because you think obviously, yeah, you don't kick off with food, but it's damaging the health of your body. You're getting fatter. You could have diabetes. You could develop different conditions. It affects your mood. So even food addiction can cause problems. Lots of addictions can cause problems. So you have to try and incorporate, like what I did yesterday. I went to the gym because I thought, right, I've not been to the gym for months and I felt so good. I rid my bike there, so that was obviously quite fitness. And then I went into the gym itself. I did a little bit. I didn't do much. I only did an hour, but then I rid back home again. Well, I had my eyelashes done first, so that gave me a bit of a dopamine boost as well, because when you're making yourself look good and feel good, it just does the same thing. So you're releasing, your cortisol chemicals, you're replacing them with good things. That's what our brain has to do. So how do chemicals make us happy? I've not got long left on it, a minute or so. Dopamine produces the joy of finding things that meet your needs, the I got it feeling. Endorphin produces oblivion that masks pain, often called euphoria. Oxytocin produces the feeling of being safe with others, now called bonding. Serotonin produces the feeling of being respected by others. Neurochemical circuits that don't always match up with our survival needs. In short, your brain has some quirks. It cares for the survival of your genes as urgently as it cares for your body. It wires itself from early experience, though that's an imperfect guide to adult survival. This is why our neurochemical ups and downs can be so hard to make sense of, because if for many, many years, especially from younger years, you have used, say, food or alcohol or drugs as your way to make yourself happy, it will, you will have built like a neural pathway that you now have to spend probably at least over a month changing. Just keep repeating the pattern of replacing something healthy with what was something negative. And it's just a constant renewing of the mind, renewing of the brain. It's hard, but it can be done. It can be done. But learning about it all helps you to understand it and helps you to try and do things to sort it out, because I feel like it's helping me. So it could help you. Who knows?